What's up, everyone? Welcome to Physio Friday. I am joined by Phil, our resident physiotherapist and all-round knowledgeable dude, and we are going to be answering some really cool questions today, all around the best ways to progress with your training without injuring yourself. Stick around.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.
Hey everyone, in case we haven't met, my name's Rad Burmeister. I'm the co-founder of Unity Gym and the co-creator of the UMS, Unified Movement System, where we turn driven people into superhumans. And the way we get such astonishing results with our members is that we've created a program that has a balance between strength, flexibility, and fitness. And we teach a path towards calisthenics mastery. It's very unique. If you want to know how we do it, grab one of the free downloads, the Flexibility Blueprint, Strength Blueprint, or Nutrition Blueprint. Now, as I always am on Fridays, I'm joined by our resident physiotherapist, Phil White. How are you today, bro?
Very well, and more than just Fridays now, because I'm back.
Yes, he's back. He's been here all week. It's been exciting.
Yeah, no, it's just so good to be back in the gym, especially now that we have a banging sound system and our very own in-house coffee machine.
Yeah.
So it's, just...
It's been good to have you, because in all honesty, I'm sick and tired of looking at Yanni and Richard.
Yeah, fair enough too. Fair enough too, when you got this.
But
no, I'm stoked to be back. It's been really nice seeing real-life humans again. I think online physio has been great, and I've really enjoyed the kind of way in which it forces you to really, make sure people really understand how to teach them how to look after themselves, because that's like the big thing with online physio. You really, it's so much up to that education side of things. But yeah, it is nice just to see some real life humans again instead of staring through a screen. So yeah, stoked to be back.
Yep.
Happy to be training every day on the weights, and feeling good.
Yeah, awesome. And I'm going to throw this out there real quick for anyone that's watching that just watches the start of this and doesn't finish. Tomorrow we have our fast growth workshop at Unity Gym. It is free for anyone to attend, and it is what starts the 28-day intensive. So because gyms have just opened again, we're launching a 28-day intensive program, which is basically an intro to what we do. But the fast growth workshop it's going to go from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's at Unity Gym in North Sydney, and it's where we are going to walk you through the health hierarchy of needs and come out with a real game plan, a real strategy on how you can create massive change in your life. So anyone that's watching this that can't even normally train at Unity Gym, but if you're in the Sydney area, or even, Wollongong, Blue Mountains, Newcastle, whatever, if you can get to Sydney for a day tomorrow, let me know and come along to that workshop. It's going to be a game changer. And bring your friends. You're allowed to bring friends as well if you want to. Absolutely. So we're going to jump into Aiden's question.
We have a few questions just to give a bit of a shout to who we're going to be talking about. So there's Kendall, who is asking about how to incorporate the stretching in the knee rehab program. We've also got George, or Jorge, I'm not sure how he's pronouncing it, where he's asked a whole lot of questions, but I can sort of touch on his fourth point, which is about how to incorporate rehab into the UMS program. And then there's also Chase Cantrell, who asked about weak ankles and poor flexibility. So we'll get to that. But I really wanted to start off with talking about Aiden's post on the online coaching group. So we're streaming to the Movement Mastermind group. The online coaching is for those who are enrolled in the
the UMS online coaching program.
UMS online program, and then they have a separate group where they just get that extra bit of feedback and interaction if they use it. And Aiden has been probably the best I've seen on one of the best I've seen on the group for actually utilizing it, because we check it every day, and often it's not too many questions come through, and it's like, great, everyone's doing it really correctly. But Aiden really utilized it, posts lots of videos, gets lots of critique and feedback, and he's done a post here which I just think is pretty much exactly just sums up, I guess particularly with you and your approach to rehab, but also how I'm trying to encourage people to really think about their rehab. And it's basically about simplicity and consistency. Mm-hmm. And I think that, Aiden, his little post here is just brought it together really well. So I'll just read it out for those of you who can't see it because you're not on the online coaching. So he said, just finished the foundations program, 18 weeks. Note that, 18 weeks, total of 4 workouts per week. Here are my thoughts below. For those who say it's a beginner program, I dare you to try the single leg fitball hamstring curls. I now have much better scapular control from starting at jumping pull-ups and progressing to eccentrics and full pull-ups. My grips, forearm strength have increased dramatically. For flexibility, I've been an absolute game changer. Shoulders, hips, and ankles have much more ROM and feel better. I've been seriously training for 6 years now, and I can honestly say I've never felt better. And he's attached 3 phases of Excel spreadsheets, if anyone takes a look. And I took a look, and he's... it's immense. It's 18 weeks of like numbers for
really
sets,
tracking.
Reps. For I don't know if you can see it on here, but like it's just he's really used the spreadsheet properly, and every single one has every number that he's done for that whole time, and you can just see that kind of consistent build that he's done. And so like I did an online consultation with Aiden to help him with some of the shoulder stuff he was having early on, so he utilised that really well. And he's a fit dude already. Like he's got a background, I think, in like American football or something. Like he's a strong, muscly guy, and just to see him really take on the 18 weeks of the foundations program, which I think a lot of people like are pretty quick to just want to move on for because they want to do the real fancy sort of complicated stuff. I think it's just such a good example of how you can just get such good results from doing the simple stuff consistently. Oh man, absolutely. And what's really cool as well is that Aiden is really he's upholding our core values. He's definitely caring about the community because he's posting some really cool stuff and he's helping people as well. I've seen him help a lot of people. He's absolutely taking personal responsibility. He's pursuing personal development on another level. He's taking massive action by posting all the time and asking for questions, and he's getting results. Yeah. And this is what it's all about, guys. It's this saying, you can lead a horse to water, but only the horse can drink it. And we've led you all to the water. It's right there. The Kool-Aid's right in front of you. We've got it laid out for you. And you just need to, choose whether you want to drink it or not. And yeah, I just love it. I love because it's so cool to read this because I have been seeing, of course, we see Aiden's posts all the time. You and I are helping him with this stuff. But to read that, I just love it. And nothing else helping out with
cool.
The whole community is, it starts that conversation, which really makes that online coaching group so special. Is the people who tune in, and you can see the moderators on there, and just those really enthusiastic community members. Like it starts that conversation, which just brings that whole group closer together. Which when you're struggling with motivation being at home, it's so nice to have some people who are looking out for you. He's in Canada, and we've got people all over the world just helping each other out, and I think that's wonderful.
And what's amazing. The Foundations program we didn't call it the beginner program because it's not the beginner program. It lays the foundation. But the people that rave about it the most are the people that have been training for the longest. People that I can think of, Aiden, Tom Wood, Blakely, Biwa, Alex Seabrook. These are all people that have been training for a long time, many years before they came to the UMS. And they do this program and they go, oh my God, I can't believe what it's done for my body. And it kind of falls into this category of you don't know what you don't know. So when you're a beginner and you do something like this, you really don't realize how special of a program it is. And the reason why we've created this program is because Yanni and I have been personal trainers for almost 17 years now. We have worked with so many amazing strength coaches. We've had you as a close friend that we can ask questions to. So this program's been designed through a lot of trial and error to come up with something that really solves 90% of problems for 90% of people.
Yeah, I think it's such a key thing that people often... when they come in and see me for physio-wise, like they've got a joint, particularly in the shoulders and hips, where sometimes one thing hurts, sometimes another thing hurts. They just feel like they're just generally jammy, like not happy joints, and basically they go on Google and they're like try and find the things that hurt, and like come in thinking like, I have piriformis pain, but I also have hip flexor pain, but I also have glute medius pain and like sacrum pain and everything. And when it comes down to it, it's a system that's not working, and that's getting expressed in different like sore points. And if you can just build the foundations of that system so it works really well, then you don't need to do anything particularly targeted to those single structures, but if you can get that system working together, then they all start to resolve. So I just think, by building your foundation really, consistently and strong at the beginning of your training sort of adventure, and even coming back to it every now and again, the bigger you can build your base, your foundation, the taller you,
Yep.
the higher.
And when you get to my, or not even my level, but even just when you've gone through the UMS for maybe a year or 2 years at least, I'd say, and you really understand the way that it all fits together, you come back to certain elements of the foundations whenever you need it. Like you'll think, you know what, my lower body's feeling a bit funny. I think I might just do a cycle where I'll do some step ups again or whatever it is. Yanni and I, we usually do 1 month out of every 12 months where we do a real foundational phase. And it really works for us. It's really
exactly.
good.
And you can incorporate it really well, as you're saying, like if your lower body's, struggling, incorporate the foundation stuff for the lower body days and then continue with your progressions program on the other days, which I love how you can kind of have that modular approach and keep kind of kicking goals in different directions, but by staying consistent.
Yeah, and it's what you said. It's the simplicity that makes it so amazing. There's nothing.
It's the simplicity and the consistency. Like if you do it once, you're not going to get a result. But if you turn up and you keep going, then
and it is a
result.
very nice progressive program. The way that the periodization works, the way that there's a lot of really good research behind that. It's not just us randomly saying, "Oh, let's choose this exercise next." We've worked with someone like you. We've worked with people like Tony Battaji, people that really understand the way that you should progress exercises, so that it's a very smart, progressive approach to it.
And it also makes me feel good to see this because with the way that I treat as a physio, having gone away, followed the sort of research and the evidence-based practice around generally moving away from really hands-on physio to more of this sort of exercise consultant, exercise prescription education, that side of things. In many ways, my background was a massage therapist, and people would leave my appointment being like, "Wow, you're amazing, you're the best, I feel so great," and that was really nice as that person. But now, when I have physio appointments, basically, it's often an hour of telling people, educating them, reassuring them about what they've got going on, and then giving them a plan to go and execute. And it's people leave kind of realizing that they've got a lot of work to do. Yeah. And so you don't get that instant feedback of you're great, you're amazing, I feel so much better, because it's all about that long-term approach and how they can help themselves long-term. So it's just so nice to see someone who's executed the plan so well and then has a really good result. It's oh, okay, it took 18 weeks, but we got
And Aiden, what you want to do now is, brother, you want to do a testing week straight away. So next week, do a testing week, and then you'll do a slightly shorter mesocycle this week, because I want you to get in sync with everybody else. So you'll do a 4-week cycle, and then you'll do another testing week with us so that you're in sync with us, because we want everybody testing in the same week going forward. And what I want you to think of, and this is for anyone coming out of that foundations phase, moving into the progressions phase is a lot more customized now. There's a lot more thinking to do, which you're going to love, Aiden, because you're obviously somebody that really gets into this stuff. And I want you to think, when you do your first testing week, I want you to think that what you're really doing is just greasing the groove with the movements. You're not going to get, the results that you'll get, the data you'll get from your second or third testing week is going to be so much more accurate than what you'll get from your first one. So don't worry about it so much. Basically, you'll just do your testing week with the idea to learn the movements, to understand the process of testing. And then whatever program that you spit out for yourself after that, it's not going to be bad, because I know that on Monday you're going to be doing bent arm strength and Tuesday you're going to be squatting. So that itself, the program split, is going to be very effective for you. And then the second time you do testing week is the time that you're really going to go, okay, now I'm starting to get it. Some of our the ultimate athletes at Unity Gym, every year we have awards, and we award someone the ultimate athlete, and it's someone
Fittest Male 2014.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Phil, the Fittest Male 2014. The ultimate athlete is somebody that lives by the core values and demonstrates some of the highest level of success. And our most recent ultimate athlete, Lachlan Husler, when I asked him about it, he said, "Man, I didn't even get accurate testing for the first 3. It was only when I did my 4th testing cycle that I went, okay, now I'm starting to really get it." So yeah, just understand that, Aiden, and the real fun begins from here, man. This is where we start, progressing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Love it. Okay, so we'll get onto the other questions now. Shout out to Aiden, who's tuned in and appreciating the love. And g'day to Felix, a friend of mine who has tension headaches while at work. Any good exercise to prevent and treat such headaches? We'll definitely get to that in a sec. So, but definitely just need to probably the first one I want to get to is the ankle issue from Chase, who's saying that his ankles are weak, especially my right one. I get sharp pain sometimes when I move it in certain ways, and it feels stiff. I have poor flex. Is it because I have poor flexibility at the moment? So with ankle flexibility, he's saying his ankles are weak. So it's kind of important to, I guess, be clear about when you're explaining these things, like at what times do they feel weak? Is it pushing up onto your toes? Is it like trying to get into some of the kneeling positions? Does that sort of feel weak? So that's kind of key to get a hold of. But he says sharp pains when he moves it in certain ways. So it's a common thing with people who've played a lot of sports in their younger life, especially sports like soccer or anything where you're changing direction and getting a high impact, to get some bony changes around the ankle joint. And in similar ways I've talked about before with like hip cam type impingement or pincer style FAI, you can kind of get bony adaptations to try and help respond to the changes in force as you're growing. And so sometimes, like for me, I have just certain positions, because that was basically my life as a young teenager, where I find it really painful to get in certain positions sometimes, but most of the time it's fine. My best advice is basically I wouldn't say it's because you have poor flexibility at the moment. It's more likely that with every joint, we really want to build up the strength around it and the ability to control movement in all directions. So I think, again, I haven't done a consultation with you, and we haven't got all the specifics, but I think people are often keen to jump to flexibility as being the big cause of all issues. But when you think about joints and pain in certain movements, it's often the control into that movement that is the thing that's causing the pain. And if you, with flexibility, if you're thinking about trying to push into end range, into passive sort of end range, if you remember me talking before about active structures versus passive structures, it's often those passive structures that are going to be limiting end range. And if you've got potentially some bony changes there, pushing into that is probably going to be quite painful. But if you can strengthen and control that range, then you're less likely to stress those structures quite as much. So again, hard to say exactly what's going on with you because I haven't chatted to you, but I think just like the key takeaway there is basically, flexibility is, if it's a sharp pain issue, it's at like certain ranges, it's probably not a flexibility issue. It's more of a control and strength through there. That would be how I would sum it up.
I would agree, even though I'm not a physio, so I will never argue Phil on something like that, but I would agree. People, it's funny, isn't it? The go-to sort of thing that people seem to think is wrong with them is a lack of flexibility. Yeah. I've got pain here. What stretches should I do? And you're like, it's not really, I think people just
want to stretch themselves out of any problem. But while I think flexibility and mobility is such a key part of moving well, muscles usually spasm up, get tight, restrict movement because there's a capacity issue where they can't they've basically been work to a point where they're like, okay, we're tired now. We're just going to lock down this joint so we don't have to deal with, all the shit you're giving me. So they lock up, and then I guess people feel like that sort of tension from the spasm, and they think, oh, I'm really tight here. I need to stretch it. But this muscle's like screaming out like, please, I'm just trying to tell you to like to rest or make me stronger. Yeah. So if you can really work on building up the strength around it, with the warm-ups, is there still that big ankle warm-up?
Yeah.
We do, yeah. So
absolutely.
Doing some of that, doing plenty. And that's one thing with the UMS, there's generally not as much focus on like ankle, like typical like calf raises and that sort of stuff in the UMS program itself. So it might be worth looking into adding a bit of bent and straight knee calf raises and maybe even some resisted dorsiflexion. So bring up your toes as well. So that's something to think about. And good work to the guys who responded on that question as well. All right, Sue, what's Aiden saying here?
Aiden's saying definitely antsy to get a testing week under the belt, but no gyms are open in Toronto, so I was thinking of doing Muscle Up Masterclass and other exercises in the progressions program. Let me know your thoughts. Absolutely. I remember, you asked me, you posted all your prerequisites for the Muscle Up masterclass progressions program as well, Aiden, and everything looked good except the dips were a little bit lacking. So your plan where you said that you want to do phase 3 of the foundations for muscle up masterclass, I think that's a really good idea. And you are way closer to being able to do all of the prerequisites for a muscle up than most people that I've seen that start that program. You are going to get a muscle up very quickly. When you follow that program, I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of people have been posting how amazing that muscle up masterclass program is and how they're getting their first muscle ups ever. So you are going to get it. And then
and I think like more looking at the way that you've progressed, as you're saying in your post, going from the jumping pull-ups to the eccentrics to the full pull-ups, like one of the big challenges that comes to people trying to get their first muscle up is basically getting elbow issues, often that medial elbow tendinopathy, as we are so often talking about, because it's sort of this, you go from nothing to trying to do a muscle up, but you can see you've built that steady sort of ramp up, that progression, that consistency.
Beautiful.
And that's exactly the right way to approach it. So
it's good. Yeah, very good.
So I want to go on to did we finish with that one?
Yeah.
Yep. With George L. Burgess, hope I'm saying his name right. Just quickly to cover here, because I think I just want to make a point about how it plays into what we were just talking about there. And he's saying he has a labrum repair on his left shoulder, meniscus surgery, left knee, and recovering well, but needs some strength work. Had a groin and hamstring injury in the right leg with a local gym coach as a kid, training for splits. Gone now after treated with a doctor. He feels limitation compared to the other side. I noticed you have a rehab program, and could that be fitted into the schedule accordingly? So I just wanted to make a point here where he's saying he's got a labrum issue and a meniscus issue, and both of these, again, are those passive structures that are there to kind of help out the joint. So this is exactly the sort of time where you need to be focusing on strengthening that shoulder, strengthening the knee, and mobility is going to be important, but when you've kind of got that background of the kind of cartilage changes in there, just take it really easy on pushing to end range early on, and just make sure you got heaps of strength around there before you are really pushing it. Not like definitely keep mobility in there. So working through your available range, trying to keep access that available range frequently. But the pushing to end range when you've kind of got that background of cartilage stuff can be just
my when I did my meniscus, you were doing your placement, so I couldn't get any help from you. So I saw Leroy, who's another friend of ours who's an amazing physiotherapist, and he gave me some, because he knew what I know, so all he told me was the considerations rather than this is the program that you should do. And he said, these are your considerations, now write your own program. And that's what led to the knee rehab program that we've now got. And one of the big considerations that he gave me, he said, no loaded flexion beyond 120 degrees until you've created some strength, and then you increase it to 150 and so on and so forth. Yeah, you know what I mean. He basically said his example was, he said basically the amount that your knee would flex to walk up and down a flight of stairs. You don't really want to go beyond that. Yeah. But and that worked really, really well for me.
Yeah, and again, that's not to say never do that. Now course. Rad's doing ask squats really comfortably, and has great knee mobility. But it's just in that sort of initial phase while you're getting used to really loading up, take it easy, and then build that available range. So I guess we'll get to these two live questions quickly. So Felix is asking about the tension, headaches whilst at work, good exercises to prevent and treat such headaches. I guess this is probably something I've
never experienced this myself. Yeah. But the first thing I got to say here is headaches are, especially because we're doing something online, I have to make a disclaimer and say, if you're getting headaches, you need to see a doctor. You need to, I would, this is the kind of thing where, people you hear these stories of people say, I just had a little bit of a headache and then they had a stroke in the afternoon or something. Yeah. So I need to say that what I'm about to tell you now is that if you'd seen a doctor and the doctor said, look, there's no problems with you, we've done your general health checkup and you should be fine, it's just something you're going to need to work through.
Rad on the disclaimers, love it. Takes my job.
So let's get that out of the way. Go and see a doctor, make sure that it's nothing sinister that you need to get further checks from. And I'm talking about just a basic health checkup to start with. That aside, if that's not what it was, I used to get really bad headaches And I got them when I was doing sit-ups. What I used to do, like when I was trying to, develop ab strength, and as the sets went on and the volume went up, I got this shooting pain that seemed to go up the back of my neck and over the top of my head. It was very distinct the way I remember feeling it coming over the top of my head. And my understanding of it now, because it went away, and it went away about 20 years ago and it never came back. And I've had a lot of other people go through the same experience in the gym, and they've come out the other side as well. And my understanding of it now is that I had very weak muscles, in the anterior part of my neck that helped to hold my head up. So when I was doing these crunches, this was the weakest link. And when the muscles go at the front of your neck, muscles that aren't meant to hold the neck in a flexed position start trying to do something that they're not designed to do. And it just created a hell of a lot of pressure. That said, no doctor or physiotherapist gave me that diagnosis. That's my own diagnosis of myself. But I don't get this problem anymore, and I work through the strength and I work through the pain.
You've got your bull-like neck, nice and strong. Assuming we are talking about muscle tension, headaches. Like I know Felix, and he's a postdoc researcher, so he spends a lot of time in the lab, like in front of computers and machines, doing really. I don't know how he does it. It really looks. You're doing great work for the world of science, but it looks tedious to me. Yeah. But yeah, you spend a lot of time in front of the computer. So like people often sort of jump on saying like, oh, it's posture. You just have a bad posture, and if you fix that posture, then everything's going to get better. And so the kind of classic like shoulders forward, chin jutting forward, neck in that sort of bent position is, I guess, the like that upper cross syndrome that people like to talk about so much is one of the things people jump on and say like, you can't do that. And so what they do is then like try and sit like they have a rod up their ass and like in this kind of constant like totally upright position to get really like hyper vigilant around posture. And some people even get those like they have these it's like a shoulder. It looks like you're wearing a backpack, except it's just sort of things that pull you into that position and keeps you in that position. And so with posture, there's it's kind of an interesting one. There's like so much research into posture, and they basically say that like there's no bad posture, but being in any one position for any like large amount of time is generally what's going to cause issues. So the big takeaway is basically the more you can like change your position, move around. So that might be like having a small glass of water that you have like a little reminder on saying like fill me up. So you like have to like you're forced just to get up, move, change direction. I know that in a research context where you have to be in front of the machines certain times, that's going to be harder. So you can just think about trying to add variability to between standing, sitting, and one of the issues why becoming a overextender where you're trying to sit bolt upright is it does fatigue the muscles in your neck and your back and your shoulders. And the muscles in your shoulders especially, they go like your trapezius muscle goes all the way up into basically around your hairline here, attaching into what's called the nuchal line, which is like a just a connection site made of like a passive soft tissue. But then you also have a kind of continuation of fascia and soft tissue that goes around your scalp and your head. Then you've got muscles that go into your sort of into the jaw and into the side of your head. That's a temporal area. And when you get sort of muscle tension through here, that can start to then create tension around the rest of your head, and that can be kind of one of the causes of headaches. So there's some interesting sort of pictures of like depending on where you get your headaches, it might give you some clues. I don't know if it's 100% spot on about what trigger points and whatever, but there's generally some clues you can get from which part of your body is really causing a lot of tension. The other one is be really aware if you're what your breathing and your kind of stress levels are like, because often if you kind of get that real chest breathing, you start to use these muscles that are around your neck as your major sort of breathing muscles instead of your diaphragm, which then just like any other, just like that postural sort of stuff, is going to be a load that's going to have to deal with. So to tolerate load, we need a higher capacity. So if you're weak through there and you're always just using them up in your breathing, then you're more likely to get that kind of fatigue and like again tension up through here. And with jaw, people who clench their teeth a lot often get that sort of like real tension and headache around here, because as I said, you've got these jaw muscles that actually go like right up into the side of your head here. So if you're clenching your teeth constantly, that can also be a bit of a thing. So looking into breathing, so like diaphragmatic breathing can be really helpful there.
For sure. Well, Phil, we're out of time now. What do you want to do before we finish?
quickly get to Lee Clements because he's tuned in live.
Yep. So Lee's saying my left side of the back is feeling a bit tender this morning. I did the QDR move yesterday in phase 4 Wednesday and maybe twisted my back too much. Very likely. Would foam rolling help? That's what I'd do. I don't know what Phil's clinical advice would be, but I'd be foam rolling and doing spine mobility and just basically general stuff to just keep a little bit of movement and stop everything from seizing up. I think with back, like obviously people really jump on backs as being like, if I have back pain, therefore it's a really serious issue. But just like any other part of the body, there's, you can have very insignificant back issues and you can have more significant ones. So the things to kind of look out for, any sort of shooting pain down your leg, nervous sort of stuff, so tingling, numbness, any of that kind of stuff. Also any changes in your bladder or your bowel can be a sign that there's maybe something a bit more serious going on. But if it's just a bit tender, it's quite likely to just go away quite quickly. So just keep moving. Ride it out for a couple of days if it's still problematic in a week. Look into it more. Foam rolling can, might make it feel a bit better, and keep you entertained while it just sort of sorts itself out in the short term. Awesome. All right, thanks guys. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We are launching the handstand masterclass today as the flash sale for this weekend. For anybody that wants to learn bodyweight training or calisthenics training, the handstand is the #1 skill to learn for many, many reasons. But one of them is that it is the easiest one. It requires mostly balance and less strength than the other calisthenics movements. And also the process of developing a handstand really opens up your shoulder flexibility so that you can get really good shoulder flexion, which is essential for all exercise. So it's a great opportunity for you guys to jump in and get started on your bodyweight training journey at a big discount. So have a look out for that one, and hopefully we'll see a bunch of you getting your first handstands or improving your handstands. And we'll see you next week. Have a great day. Have a great weekend.
Hey, thanks for watching that video. If you liked it, consider subscribing to our channel and make sure you click the notification bell so you know when our weekly videos are uploaded. Now, the best thing for you to do if you want to stay connected with us and get free online coaching is to join our private Facebook group. It's called the UMS Movement Mastermind, and we go live daily where we answer our members' questions. It's very interactive because you can post questions while we're live and we interact with you on the show. You can also upload videos or pictures of yourself with any movements, any stretches, strength training movements, calisthenics, weightlifting, anything that you're struggling with, and we'll critique you, give you feedback, let you know how you can get better. It's a really valuable resource. It allows a lot of communication with us and also our senior tribe members. You'll get answers very, very quickly, and it's absolutely free. So jump on Facebook, search for UMS Movement Mastermind and join now. Until next time, have a great day.